Single Dad's Heartwarming Interview Journey. Discover the incredible moment that changed everything. Mike faced the mirror, his heart racing as he prepared for another long day at the manufacturing plant. The blue work shirt felt heavy on his shoulders, as did the weight of raising his two daughters alone. Just a year ago, life was vibrant and full of laughter, punctuated by the warm embrace of his late wife, Jenna. Now, it was mere shadows left in family photos scattered around their small home. Memories danced in his mind, each giggle from his girls a reminder of what he lost. Each Saturday was a sacred escape. The parks echoed with the laughter of his daughters, Mia and Lily, as they chased each other under the golden autumn sun. The joy radiating from their innocent faces fueled his spirit, contrasting starkly with the grinding workweek. It was a balance of routine, a cycle of sweat and toil during the week to ensure they had everything they needed. Yet, the ache of loneliness was a constant companion. Unexpectedly, news came that the local television station wanted to feature him in a community interview series on the struggles of single parenthood. Mike felt a surge of pride swell within him. It was a chance to share his story, to voice the challenges he faced and the overwhelming love he had for his daughters. However, as the broadcast date drew closer, trepidation knotted in his stomach. An avalanche of critical comments on social media began pouring in, questioning his worthiness as a father and his ability to provide for his girls. Each nasty word felt like a sharp dagger, slicing through the determination he had tried to cultivate. That evening, as twilight crept in and silence filled the house, Mike sat amid the framed images of happier times, family vacations, birthday celebrations, everyday smiles. Doubt settled in, dark and heavy. Was he really the father they deserved? Closing his eyes, he could hear the sweet giggles emanating from the girls' room, a sound both pure and grounding. It was at that moment he realized that their laughter, their unconditional love, was stronger than the venomous whispers online. His neighbors, the kind souls who called to check in, reminded him there was a community behind him, supporting him as he stood against the storm. Mike steeled himself and took a breath, knowing he would not shy away from sharing his truth. Before we continue, he thought, summoning courage. I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the interview arrived with a storm of anticipation. Standing before a packed room, the weight of skepticism palpable, Mike felt his heart pound. Each word spilled from his lips felt laced with electricity, passion pouring out like molten steel. We're not just statistics, he implored, each syllable hitting against the walls like a drum. We are people worthy of support and love. And with that declaration, a spark ignited in the audience. He was advocating not just for himself, but for every single parent whose fight often went unnoticed. Despite the smoldering support building around him, shadows of doubt loomed large. The murmurs of some held on to their biases. They stood behind walls that were thin, yet unyielding, leaving Mike once again questioning the very fabric of the community he considered home. As he stood at the crossroads, he heard whispers in the hallways that chilled him to the bone. Was the acceptance he had felt a mere facade? Was the hope he fought for fragile and fleeting? The emotional storm brewed inside him, leaving him to ponder what might come next. For his family and their tight-knit community. The audience shifted in their seats, a mixture of curiosity and judgment floating in the air. Mike searched their faces, trying to catch familiar eyes, friendly smiles or nods of support. But all he found were the skeptical brows and crossed arms of those who were convinced that he'd fail. Just as he was about to falter, he caught sight of Mia and Lily peeking over the edge of a back row. Their wide eyes radiated pride, and suddenly, his fears dissipated. It wasn't just about him anymore, it was for them. When the interview wrapped up, the applause that erupted felt like a warm wave crashing over him. But that wave was followed by fiery comments swirling in his mind, questioning if he was enough, if he could really shoulder the burden of fatherhood alone. Doubt crept in alongside the comfort of applause, twisting like vines around his thoughts that he stepped off the makeshift stage, and the first person he noticed was Alice, the neighbor who brought them homemade cookies every Sunday. She rushed over, her expression a mix of joy and concern. "You were incredible, Mike. You really spoke from the heart," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with admiration. "Thanks, Alice," Mike managed, self-doubt still clawing at him. "I just hoped they heard what I had to say." "They did. You resonated with so many people. I've heard a few lightweight critics at the coffee shop, but trust me, you're inspiring the parents around here. You planted a seed tonight." Alice's words hung in the air, softening the harsh edges of his worries. Still, the lingering whispers from the crowd haunted him. Were there still doubts? Were the barriers between acceptance and judgment now more defined? Days turned into restless nights, and while his daughters laughed and played around him, he couldn't quite shake the tension that clenched his stomach. The post-interview feedback trickled in comments filled with praise, and others that cut deep. Some claimed he was over-exaggerating the struggles of single dads, while others held on to outdated stereotypes. He fought the urge to jump into the online fray and defend himself, knowing that engaging with negativity would only pull him lower. Then one afternoon, while organizing a soccer game at the park for the neighborhood kids, inspiration hit him. He didn't have to battle alone. Why not rally the other single parents in the community? They could share experiences, pain and triumph alike, and build a support network. Before he had even finished the thought, he felt a spark of determination ignite in his chest. "Hey, Mia. Lily." He called as he gathered their attention, turning to the small crowd around. "I have an idea. What if we start a weekly meetup? It could be a support group for single parents." The girls cheered, encouraging their dad with their enthusiasm. Other parents around them perked up as well, turning curious faces towards him. There was palpable electricity in the air as a few of the mothers and fathers exchanged glances, wondering if they too might join him if this little idea could bloom into something more meaningful. As the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue across the park, the sense of direction solidified. He could bring them all together. But would they come? Would they feel the same way he did about mutual support and camaraderie? He bit his lip, taking a step into the unknown. Worry fluttered within, but mixed with that, the thrill of possibility surged with every heartbeat. But just as hope began to swell inside him, a notification rang on his phone, drawing his attention. It was a direct message from someone connected to the interview, but the screen only displayed a vague message: "You don't truly understand the fight until you've lived it." His heart raced again, uncertainty washing over him. What did this mean for his community, for his newfound plan? The questions loomed like shadows, urging him to dig deeper and stand stronger. What did the future hold? Mike shrugged off the chill that the message sent down his spine, trying to focus on the excited voices around him. Mia and Lily tugged at his sleeves, urging him back to the moment. But the weight of that cryptic message nagged at him. Was it someone trying to provoke him? Or was it a hidden truth he hadn't yet uncovered about the complexities of single parenthood? Taking a deep breath, he turned to the group of parents gathering around. Their eyes were bright with hope and curiosity. He had envisioned this gathering as a lifeline, a bridge between solitary struggles and collective strength. Now, he could almost taste the possibility of a community bound by shared experience. "The first meetup can be at my place this Saturday," he announced, attempting to mask any lingering tension in his voice. "Let's call it bouncing back together. We can share our stories, maybe even bring some snacks for the kids." Lily nodded vigorously. "And games. Don't forget games, Daddy." "Right." Mike grinned, his spirit lifting. "We'll have games. Maybe a little fun competition for the parents too." The chatter amongst the parents grew louder, excitement rippling through the crowd. He locked eyes with Alice again, who gave him an enthusiastic thumbs up. Her support felt like a warm embrace in the chaos of his thoughts. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with vibrant hues, they started making plans: what snacks to bring, what games to play, and how to spread the word. Each idea reminded Mike that he wasn't just sharing his burden, he was also crafting a safety net for those who felt isolated, just like him, but when the little details settled into place, a familiar feeling returned. The anxiety that snuck in whenever he thought of the interview crept back. What if the negative voices outnumbered the supportive ones? What if someone came and challenged the very foundation he planned to build? It was an uncomfortable thought, one he struggled to shake. That night, as he put the girls to bed, the shadows loomed larger. "Daddy?" Mia's sleep-laced voice broke the silence. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, sweetheart. Just thinking about the meetup." "It's gonna be great," she assured, her eyes barely staying open. "Everyone will like it. Everyone will see how cool you are." Her innocent belief flooded him with warmth, but also a pang of pressure. What if he didn't live up to their expectations? The last thing he wanted was for his girls to see him fail. Morning came too soon, and Mike woke with an unyielding weight in his chest. Coffee in hand, he scrolled through social media and saw mixed reactions to his interview post. But one comment, from a username he didn't recognize, sent chills through him again. "May your dreams come crashing down, just like the family you abandoned." He let the mug slip from his fingers, the ceramic shattering into 1,000 pieces on the floor. Breathing heavily, he could feel frustration boiling up inside him. "Why now?" he mumbled, clenching his fists. And just like that, he felt a deeper determination rise up. He wouldn't let this one voice, this one attack, tear down everything he was trying to build. He couldn't allow an anonymous person's words to dictate his self-worth or the support he wanted to foster in his community. As he swept the shards from the floor, the image of Alice, Mia, Lily, and all the hopeful parents filled his mind. This support group was more than just a gathering, it was a movement of resilience, hope, and love. Bouncing back together, he whispered to himself, his heart pounding with renewed conviction. Unbeknownst to him, the shadows were growing closer, and the fight was far from over. As he organized the pieces, plotting the week ahead, he sensed an impending storm. What challenges awaited him? What hidden battles would test his resolve? He stood amidst the broken fragments, knowing deep within him that this was only the beginning. The Saturday morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, catching the dust motes dancing in the air. Mike was running on adrenaline and coffee, the familiar scent grounding him as he prepped for the big day. The table was a colorful mix of homemade brownies and snacks, goldfish crackers, apple slices, and juice boxes. He wanted everything to be perfect. As he poured the fruit juice into cups, Mia and Lily zoomed around him, playing tag within the confines of their small home. Their laughter lifted his spirits, but the anxiety still gnawed at him like a persistent itch. Would anyone really show? Would they be honest, raw, and vulnerable? Or was he just setting himself up for disappointment? "Daddy! Can we play Duck Duck Goose before everyone gets here?" Lily panted, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Sure thing, but let us set the chairs up first," Mike replied, glancing at the clock. Guests would be pouring in any minute. Just then, the doorbell rang, a sound that echoed through the house and into Mike's racing heart. He opened the door to find Alice standing there, a warm smile on her face, kids in tow. "Hey, Mike. We brought some cupcakes," she said, raising a colorful box. Her presence felt like a cozy blanket in the chill of his self-doubt. "Thanks, Alice. Come on in," he said, stepping aside to let her and her 2 kids, a boy and a girl, enter. As they entered, the room began to fill with chatter and laughter, and Mike felt the energy shift. This was at the moment he had been longing for. More parents arrived, each bringing something, a game, a snack, or just stories to share. As the room warmed with their voices, laughter bubbled up, much like the delight Mike felt in knowing he wasn't alone in this journey of parenthood. Once everyone was settled, Mike cleared his throat. "Welcome to Bouncing Back Together," he said, looking around at the smiling faces. "Let us start by sharing our stories. Who wants to go first?" A hand shot up across the circle. It was Tom, a father he met in the schoolyard. "I'll go," he said, his voice slightly shaky. "Honestly, I didn't think I'd make it this far." After the divorce he paused, his eyes glistening. "I felt like I was losing everything. But talking to other parents like you guys, it helps. It really does." The room was silent, save for the occasional sniffle. It was raw, but that vulnerability fostered trust. Parents began to share their struggles, both the ups and downs, their hopes, fears, and dreams. Mike felt a swell of pride as they opened up, revealing their humanity. As the stories flowed, something beautiful began to take shape. A community was materializing. Laughter mingled with tears, and moments of silence spoke louder than any words. It all began to feel right. But then, out of the blue, Mike's phone buzzed insistently in his pocket. Distracted by the sound, he pulled it out, only to find another notification that stopped him dead in his tracks. "Is this the kind of leadership you want in your community? A failure as a father?" His heart raced as he felt the familiar surge of anger. He swallowed hard, willing himself to stay calm. This was not the time for negativity. He couldn't let one person's hatred twist the beauty they were creating. Shoving the phone back into his pocket, Mike focused on the warmth of the room, the energy of shared experiences. Suddenly, laughter erupted. The kids had started a game of tag in the corner, and the arcing joy echoing among them was contagious. As he watched Mia and Lily giggle with their new friends, a sliver of hope sparked in him. Mike knew he was on a path of growth, but doubt still gnawed at the edges of his thoughts. He thought back to the strangers behind the screens typing hurtful comments. Would he ever be free of that negativity? What would happen when the next storm inevitably hit? The laughter around him grew louder, weaving into his heart, and he felt fortified by their collective strength. Maybe this was the kind of family he could create, a patchwork of support, resilience, and love. As the day unfolded, he wondered if they'd truly be able to withstand the storms together. Would the bonds they were forming hold strong enough? With each story shared, the question loomed larger in his mind: would they rise stronger, or would the weight of judgment drag them down? Mike stood in the center of the living room, the chaos of laughter and chatter swirling around him. As parents shared their stories, a fire flickered within him, ignited by both their revelations and his own inner battles. He craved more than just connection, he wanted genuine understanding. The fear of judgment clung to him like a shadow, but in this sacred space, he felt the light pushing it back. Tom had finished his story, and a sense of weight hung in the air. Mike stepped forward, heart racing. "Hey, I just wanted to say I get it. I'm a single dad too. Sometimes, it feels like you're swimming against the tide." His chest tightened as he spoke, but courage surged through him. A chorus of nods greeted him, a mix of familiarity and solidarity. Alice chimed in next, sharing her tale about navigating parenting while dealing with personal loss. Each narrative brought a deeper sense of connection that broke through his isolation. As tears welled up in her eyes, the room leaned in, wrapping her with unspoken support. Then, just like that, a small voice pierced through the heaviness. "Can we play another game?" It was Lily, her wide-eyed innocence cutting through the emotional fog. The laughter that followed was a balm. "Absolutely." Mike beamed, grateful for his daughter's spontaneity. "Let us have a scavenger hunt." The kid squealed in delight as he scurried to gather supplies. From the corner of his eye, he caught Mia and her friends already forming teams, a flurry of energy igniting the room anew. For a brief moment, worries slipped away, replaced with the infectious joy of childhood. As they organized into teams, Mike took a side glance at the adults. The initial tension dissipated into laughter, a reminder that they were all in this together. Stories were still shared, but now they were accompanied by shouts and exuberance from the kids, reframing the atmosphere. Mid-hunt, Mike suddenly noticed Sarah, a single mom he barely knew, on the sidelines, arms crossed, watching the chaos. The discomfort was palpable in her tight expression. He felt a pull to reach out but hesitated. Would she open up, or was she closed off, encased in her hurt? Before he could think too long, he approached her cautiously. "Hey, it looks like you've got a front row seat to all the fun. Want to join?" Her expression softened, but doubt still lingered in her eyes. I don't think I can." "Trust me, it might surprise you how much fun this can be," he replied earnestly. Gathering courage, he held out a colorful scavenger hunt checklist. "Come on. Just one item. I promise you'll feel better." She hesitated, biting her lip. After a moment, she gave a tentative smile and took the list. "All right, just one item." He couldn't help but grin back, feeling the flicker of connection sparking again. The scavenger hunt morphed into an unexpected gathering of laughter and even some friendly competition. As the kids darted around, clutching their findings, Mike couldn't help but marvel at the sight. The walls he had placed around himself were slowly crumbling in this shared experience. As the game wound down, the messy, beautiful chaos of crayons, juice boxes, and giggles soothed away his worries. He felt a growing awareness that they were forming something special, more than just friendships. They were building trust within one another, a safety net for the struggles of parenthood. With everyone finally settled back with exhausted smiles, Mike glanced around. Happiness lingered in the air, but beneath it, a trace of uncertainty tugged at him. Could this community truly withstand outside judgment? Could they pull together when faced with storms? Taking a sharp breath, Mike felt resolve swelling within him. As long as they stayed united in their shared journeys, maybe just maybe they could rise above it all. Then, as if on cue, Tom spoke up, his voice breaking through the thoughtful silence. "What do we do if someone tries to tear us apart?" The question hung heavy in the air, a challenge yet to be answered. How prepared were they to face a world that sometimes felt unforgiving? What might it take to stand strong when confronted with adversity? As Mike received the gazes turned toward him, he realized this was just the beginning of their journey. The future felt both fragile and filled with possibility. The question lingered, bouncing in his mind like a basketball. Was he ready for what lay ahead? Mike took a moment to gather his thoughts, electric anticipation buzzing in the air. The question had ignited something powerful inside him. His voice trembled with the weight of his response. "We fight back with each other," he began, the sincerity evident in his eyes. "We share our stories and build trust. We can't let anyone's judgment define us." A chorus of murmurs followed his words, some faces reflecting doubt, while others showed a flicker of hope. Ed, another dad in the circle, chimed in. "What if we organized regular meetups? You know, not just for the kids, but for us?" Nods of agreement surged around the room. "That's a great idea," Alice added. "A safe space where we can talk and support each other." As the conversation built momentum, Mike felt a swell of emotion. This was more than swapping stories over coffee, it was a lifeline for all of them. It was a commitment to embrace their vulnerabilities together, to create a harbor against the storm they often faced as single parents. "I'll bring snacks," Lily chirped, raising her small hand, which made everyone laugh. Her enthusiasm seemed to break down the final barriers, filling the room with warmth, but in the back of his mind, a shadow whispered doubts. What if they opened up and found out they were too different? What if life threw them obstacles they couldn't overcome together? Yet, each smiling face before him convinced him that they could weather whatever storm was brewing. Just then, Sarah stood up, her cheeks flushed with newfound courage. "I want to help organize. I haven't really had anyone to talk to, and this feels different." A ripple of support flowed through the group. Mike noticed her smile grow brighter, a spark ignited by the involvements of her neighbors and their shared mission. "Then it's settled," Tom declared. "We'll meet weekly to share, plan activities, and just be there for one another. And honestly, we can't let anyone shake what we've got now." They began to discuss logistics, and laughter filled the air as they exchanged ideas for everything from game nights to parenting workshops. Mike felt light, the weight of his worries disappeared amidst the rapids of their shared enthusiasm. They were transforming the unknown into familiarity, fear into camaraderie. Lily, who had once initiated the game, suddenly stood before Mike, her big eyes looking past childish playfulness. "Daddy, do you think we could be a family?" The question caught Mike off guard. The room fell silent. He knelt beside her, finding the right words wrapped in an unexpected mixture of vulnerability and hope. "Well, we're all kind of a family now, right? We look out for each other, just like family does." She grinned, her small face lighting up his world. "Then can we have sleepovers?" Laughter erupted again, relieving the tension and amplifying a sense of belonging. And in that moment, staring into Lily's innocent excitement, Mike realized this was about more than just providing support for one another. It was about weaving connections, building something lasting from the tangled threads of their lives. As the meeting wound down, plans solidified, a profound sense of purpose wrapped around Mike. They were standing together, building something beautiful out of their struggles. But even amid this glow of unity, he still felt the whisper of uncertainty lingering. Would this newfound community hold strong when tested? As everyone began to leave, Mike lingered, his heart brimming with a mix of hope and worry. The future lay before them like an open road, and deeper questions loomed on the horizon. How would they navigate through the challenges ahead? He looked at Sarah, who had returned to her reserved stance, but this time with purpose. There was untapped strength in her, just waiting to be nurtured. "Are you ready?" he whispered to her, knowing this journey would demand courage. She met his gaze, and for an instant, he felt the weight of shared vulnerability. "I think I am," she murmured quietly. As they stepped into the unknown, one truth lingered in the air. Connections forged in trust could change everything. What awaited them just beyond their reach would soon reveal itself, and Mike knew, deep down, that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Their first official meetup felt like a whirlwind, a blend of nervous energy and uncontainable enthusiasm as each parent arrived with their children in tow. The community center buzzed with the sounds of laughter and chatter, adding a vibrant backdrop to a new chapter in their lives. Mike stood at the entrance, greeting each familiar face with a smile that masked a flicker of anxiety. There were so many unknowns, but where doubt had lingered, hope now flourished. Lily dashed off to find her friends, and Mike couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. She was already embracing this community in a way that he hadn't anticipated. As they settled into a large circle of mismatched chairs, Alice began organizing the icebreakers. "Okay, everyone, let us go around and share one thing about ourselves," she suggested, her excitement infectious. The laughter that erupted as parents stumbled through their introductions eased Mike's nerves, and he felt a warmth spreading through the room. When it was finally his turn, he cleared his throat. "I'm Mike. I love cooking, but it usually ends in chaos, and lots of takeout." The room erupted in chuckles. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging, as if every little quirk they shared brought them closer. As the evening progressed, they discussed everything from local parks to parenting tips. But beneath the surface, a bond was forming, one that transcended their shared experiences. Sarah, seated next to Mike, caught his eye. "I never thought I'd enjoy something like this," she said softly, her cheeks flush with emotion. "Me neither." "I'm glad we're doing this," he replied, the gravity of connection evident in his voice. Each parent came alive, sharing slices of their lives. Stories of heartache and resilience flowed like an intertwined river, pushing the conversation to a deeper level. They spoke of sleepless nights, first steps, and heartwarming moments, every tale steeped in shared struggle. Suddenly, Ed raised his hand. "You know, we should create a community project. Something we can all work on together as a team." Another round of murmurs erupted. Ideas bounced around like ping-pong balls: a community garden, school supplies drive, even a neighborhood cleanup. Each suggestion pulled them closer, knitting their singular journeys into a collective adventure. "Let us do it!" Lily shouted, her lilting voice cutting through the chatter. She had a knack for breaking tension, and the room roared with laughter again. It was a reminder that life was still full of joy, even amid the uncertainty. As plans began to take shape, Mike felt a deep sense of purpose settle in his chest. He realized this was more than just building a support network, they were crafting a family of sorts, a place where no one felt alone in the chaos of parenthood. Yet as the night wore on, a weight settled over him. What if they encountered obstacles they couldn't surmount? Were they ready for the storm brewing just beyond their newfound camaraderie? Just when his thoughts threatened to spiral, Sarah leaned in closer. "Do you ever wonder if it's too good to be true?" He nodded, his heart heavy with worry. "Yeah, but then I see us all here, and it feels real. Maybe it's just what we need." As the meeting wrapped up, plans were made for their next gathering, and laughter echoed in the corners of the room. They took a moment to share gratitude, each measured word reinforcing their ties. On the way out, Mike caught Lily excitedly chatting away with her new friends, and for a fleeting moment, all was right. But as they stepped into the cool night air, uncertainty clung to him like the evening fog. "There's still a long road ahead," he murmured, more to himself than to Sarah. But as she placed a reassuring hand on his arm, a flicker of resolve ignited in his chest. What would come next would stretch them, challenge them. It was an unknown adventure, filled with the promise of possibility. Yet the question hovered heavy in their air. Could they truly unite to face the storms of life together? As they walked home under the glimmer of stars, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that something incredible was just beginning. The next few days were a blur for Mike. He found himself replaying memories of the meetup during lunch breaks, while washing dishes, and even as he tossed and turned in bed. Every shared story, every laugh echoed in his heart, and yet doubt lingered like a shadow. Lily was buzzing with excitement each day after school. "We're going to have the best garden ever, Dad. And I can help with everything." Her enthusiasm warmed his heart. He loved seeing her so engaged, imagining the tiny seeds they would plant together, the blossoming flowers, and the fresh vegetables they would grow, but every time he felt the thrill of the upcoming project, that nagging worry nudged at him. What if things didn't turn out the way they hoped? What if disagreements tore them apart instead of bringing them together? On Friday night, the community gathered again at the center. Mike arrived early, a notebook clutched in his hand, filled with ideas for the garden. As he stepped inside, he was greeted by the familiar mix of chatter and laughter that felt like home already. Alice had already set up tables, each decorated with colorful cloths and fresh flowers. "You're just in time. We're brainstorming ideas," she said, her enthusiasm bubbling over. Sarah waved him over, and he could tell she had been waiting for him. "I was just telling everyone about my son's attempt to grow a single flower. It ended up being a bit of a jungle." The group erupted in laughter. Feeling encouraged, Mike shared his notes. "We could plant flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Maybe even create a space for the kids to play." The parents nodded, excitement building around the ideas that floated through the air like cherry blossoms in spring. Then, Ed piped up. "What if we turn this into a family event? A barbecue to celebrate our garden's launch." The room buzzed with agreement, parents chiming in with suggestions. The collective energy was palpable, providing Mike with a sense of belonging that overshadowed his worries. Just as his spirits began to rise, Mary, sitting at the back, shared a more serious note. "It's great that we're all excited, but what about the maintenance? Not everyone here has the same time or commitment." Silence fell over the group for a moment, tension creeping back in. Mike felt heat rise to his cheeks. What if she was right? What if the excitement fizzled out, and they were left with an unfinished project? The optimism in the air began to wane, and doubt crept in like a thief. "Maybe we can assign roles," Sarah suggested, her voice steady. "Create a schedule. That way, it's manageable for everyone." "That's smart." Lily agreed, eyes sparkling with the possibility. Mike felt the tension ease. Together, they could tackle this. Together, they were stronger. As they firmed up plans, Mike realized the garden was more than just a project. It was their chance to unite. They were building a patch of green but also a network of support, friendship, and resilience. When the evening ended, they all stepped outside, buzzing with anticipation for the journey ahead. Moonlight washed over the community center, highlighting the glimmer of newfound hope in Mike's heart. As he and Lily walked home, he glanced at her, filled with gratitude. "Do you think we really have what it takes?" he asked softly. "Of course. We're a team, Dad." Lily chimed with a confidence that took root in Mike's heart. He smiled, grateful for her belief. But even as they turned onto their street, his thoughts churned. It would take more than just enthusiasm to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But what if those challenges turned into something beautiful? What if this wasn't just a garden, but a new way of living? With hope fluttering in his chest, he couldn't help but wonder, would they really be ready for the surprises that lay in wait as they stepped into this new adventure together? Monday arrived with a crispness that hinted at the changing seasons. Mike woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The garden project was on the verge of becoming more than just a community endeavor. It felt like a lifeline that ran through the heart of their small town, connecting everyone with a simple act of growing. As he prepared breakfast, he glanced out the window at the bare plot of land that awaited the garden's transformation. It was just dirt now, but Mike envisioned vibrant colors unfurling in the sun. His heart raced with anticipation. He needed a plan, something solid to help steer the community's excitement into something tangible. "Are you ready for school, champ?" he called to Lily, pulling her focus from the animated characters dancing across the television screen. She bounded into the kitchen, a whirlwind of energy. "Ready. But can we talk more about the garden at breakfast?" she asked, her eyes lighting up like a summer sky. "Absolutely," Mike grinned, flipping pancakes. He listened as she rambled about the flowers she wanted to pick, her enthusiasm infectious. After they ate, Mike sat down with his notebook, sketching out a timeline for planting. He included sections for maintenance, along with ideas for community gatherings. Each scribble filled him with a sense of direction that pushed him forward. At the community center that evening, the atmosphere buzzed with a sense of purpose. People streamed in, bringing seedlings and tools, their faces lit with determination. Mike stood before them, a surge of nerves washing over him as he cleared his throat. "Hey everyone. Thanks for coming. It's amazing to see so many familiar faces, and even more amazing to think we're all in this together." He began to present, sharing his vision and outlining the roles he'd mapped out. The meeting ratcheted up with excitement and laughter. Parents volunteered for garden maintenance, while kids raised their hands to help with planting. Mike's heart swelled watching Lily enthusiastically sign up to care for the flower beds. Then Mary raised her hand again, but this time her expression was softer. "I know we've talked about the fun parts, but what about the tough times? What do we do if something goes wrong?" A hush spread among the crowd. Mike took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his own insecurities clawing back in. Would they really rally together when things got tough? He leaned forward, locking eyes with each person. "That's a great question, Mary. And it's true, things might not always go at our pace. But that's okay. We need to remind ourselves that it's not just about the garden, it's about us, too. Supporting each other helps us grow through the hard times." The discussion shifted, voices rising again as they shared worries and solutions, creating a tapestry of community support that Mike hadn't anticipated. Laughter slipped back into the mix, wrapping the darkness of doubt in warmth again. After the meeting, Mike lingered, cleaning up and feeling the weight of rejuvenation. Just as he was about to leave, Alice approached him. "You really brought everyone together. I don't think we've ever been this excited about anything. I want this to work. For us," he admitted, feeling vulnerable. She smiled knowingly. "And it will. Just trust that everyone will have your back." As Mike drove home, he felt a shift in the air. The burdens of doubt lightened as Lily chattered about her day and their plans. Her youthful excitement sparked something in him, a new hope, but as they arrived home, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The seeds of not just a garden, but a community had been planted. Still, would it flourish, or would storms roll in to ruin everything? nestled in the uncertainty of that question, Mike wondered just how far their growing garden and their connections would stretch as they settled into this newfound adventure. The day of the garden's grand opening dawned bright and beautiful, with a warm sun casting golden hues over the community center. Mike awoke with butterflies fluttering in his stomach. Today was the culmination of weeks spent laboring together, building something that transcended individual struggles. As he stepped out into the world, he glanced at Lily, who bounded down the hallway in a bright yellow dress. "Are we ready, Daddy?" she asked, excitement bubbling in her voice. "More than ready," he replied, beaming back at her. "Let us show everyone what we've built." The thought wrapped around his heart like a soft embrace. At the community center, the air was filled with anticipation. Colorful banners adorned the entrance, and families trickled in, their faces beaming with pride. This was no ordinary garden, it was the very heartbeat of their shared hope, a canvas painted with stories of resilience and camaraderie. Mike stood at the front, looking out at the gathered crowd, and felt an overwhelming swell of gratitude. The garden, still fledgling but bright with potential, symbolized every hardship they tackled and every tear shed. "Welcome, everyone!" he shouted, his voice ringing through the warm morning air. "Today, we celebrate not just the garden, but the beautiful community that has blossomed alongside it." Applause erupted, punctuated by the laughter of children who darted past, eyes wide with delight. Alice stepped forward, her excitement infectious. "Each plant represents a story, a struggle overcome, a victory claimed. We've all put in time, effort, and love into this. Let us get digging." Lily shouted, her voice high with excitement. The crowd erupted into laughter and chants, enthusiasm strengthening bonds that had been formed over weeks of collaboration. As they began planting together, hands worked in harmony alongside each other. Stories flowed freely as parents shared laughter, experiences, and even worries amid the rows of flowers and vegetables. There was something about the dirt beneath their nails, the sweat on their brows, that bridged the gaps that once felt insurmountable, but a familiar tightness returned, a chain of doubt waiting to ensnare him. What if the beauty of this moment was fleeting? He caught sight of Sarah in the corner, watching intently but still at a distance. She had come, but her hesitation lingered like a ghost. Something within him stirred. Taking a deep breath, Mike stepped around the planting beds and approached her. "You okay?" he asked softly. She looked up, her expression shifting. "I am. It's just overwhelming," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want to be part of it, but I feel lost in the chaos." "Trust me, I get that," he replied, his heart reaching out to her uncertainty. "But look at what we're doing. We're part of something bigger. It's okay to take it one step at a time." Slowly, a smile crept onto her lips. "Okay. Let us take that step." Together, they dove into the planting, hands wrangling small seedlings into the soil, laughter erupting over accidental spills, and sharing stories of their kids. Each small moment added depth to their connections, as they forged a bond that might withstand future storms. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the garden, Mike watched the growing, buzzing community around him. The vegetable patches were now vibrant islands of color, and echoed laughter floated like sweet music in the air. Two mothers stood nearby, discussing future events, while others began tidying up, organizing a barbecue to celebrate their accomplishments. A wave of warmth filled his heart, and he suddenly realized it extended beyond this beautiful garden. They were creating a family. In a hushed moment, he spotted Mia and Lily laughing and playing tag among the rows of flowers the adults had nurtured. They were free, unbridled joy spilling over, the essence of childhood like sunlight spilling through branches. Mike knew then that trials awaited them in the future, words of judgment would probably creep back in. But today, they had blossomed together, a community of parents, united by the struggles and joys they all experienced. As the evening wound down, with smiles all around, a sense of triumph washed over him. The whispers of self-doubt that had haunted him slowly faded in the realization that they had built more than simply a garden. They had created a network of love and support. "Thank you all for being here today," Mike said, a new light in his voice. "This isn't just a collection of plants. This is home, our home." The applause felt like a warm hug wrapping around him and everyone else, a beautiful acknowledgement of their shared journey. As they began to pack up, a familiar notification buzzed on Mike's phone. Ignoring it, he slid it back into his pocket, a weight lifting from his chest. For the first time, he felt ready to face whatever came next, knowing the community around him was strong enough to hold them all together. Just as their roots intertwined in the earth, the journey unfolded, endless possibilities before them. Together, they could weather the storms of life, creating a legacy of resilience, love, and laughter that endured. As Mike looked out over the garden, vibrant with life and potential, he felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. This was just the beginning of everything beautiful that awaited them. Now, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this inspiring journey. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand how much these actions mean in growing this community. Let's continue blooming together.